Yeah, I think I would want to save the world, assuming that was on the table.
I think it's not as black and white as right or wrong.
Yeah, I think it's more nuanced than that.
And I think this season explores that.
Yes.
Did you guys record this?
Why
did I feel so corny?
I feel like we
Wait,
didn't
they
pick up our
didn't make you
cues.
do a week long of media training? Sorry, that was just me.
The show has made Joel an infinitely more sympathetic character than the games. In the games, it's like, God, this guy, you love him, but you get why people are so mad at him. But here, he's such an endearing character. We shifted from spores to tendrils. And then, it's we don't know that it's gonna work, and we put her out before we could tell her that. So, the prevailing question that I would like all of you to debate amongst yourselves is, was Joel right, in your personal opinion?
We have different opinions about
We
this.
do. Go ahead, Neil.
I believe Joel was right. Again, just my personal opinion. If I were in Joel's position, I hope I would be able to do what he did to save my daughter.
I think that if I were in Joel's position, I probably would have done what he did, but I'd like to think that I wouldn't. So that's the interesting push and pull of the morality of it. And that's why the ending of the first game is so provocative and so wonderful. It just doesn't let you off the hook as a player. So people get to the end of The Last of Us, and there is that question, what would you do, what should you do? If faced with the opportunity to save the world, if you sacrifice your child, that goes back to Abraham and Isaac. It's so profound. The notion of sacrifice to save the world also is the story of Jesus. So now what do you do when you're in that spot? And yeah, I think I would want to save the world, assuming that was on the table.
What a great question. I think it's not as black and white as right or wrong.
Yeah, I think it's more nuanced than that.
And I think this season explores that.
Yes.
Did you guys record this? Why did I feel so corny?
I feel like we
Wait,
didn't
they
pick up our
didn't make
cues.
you do a week long of media training? Sorry, that was just me.
You guys worked this out before we got here.
No, but they're all right.
That's
I mean,
very
I'm
true.
biased. I'm his brother, and I understand. You can't see the scope of the whole world. You can only see your world, and Ellie is his world. And so, I mean, I can't personally fault him as Tommy, and maybe not even as Gabe. So I don't know.
Yeah, he saved his world, just not the world.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Did you practice that?
No, I've said something like that before, and Gabe just reminded me
I
of it
think
with
I
the
probably
world
just
thing.
parroted what I heard her say, or them
Keep
say.
that in your pocket.
Yeah, I will. What about you, Young? What do you think?
It's nuanced. It's a thing like death begets death begets death. And I think that's just a perfect example. And it's his world.
Yeah.
Who cares about the world if your world isn't there?
But is it ever right to kill
Just murk all those people.
all of the innocent people in the hospital?
And the way that is shot,
Nope. No, probably not.
it's terrifying.
But it's the thing of like on the train when you're driving the train. What is this?
Right, the train dilemma.
Like, do you kill one
my
person
God.
who you
yeah.
The real world dilemma.
love the most, or like 15 people you don't really care about?
Yeah, I feel like he was on autopilot. I think he was kind of just, he blacked out and it was just all hazy until he came to and was like,
It's not PTSD.
yeah, I don't
slight
think he
trauma
did that
response.
like very intentionally. I think it was just a gut reaction of like, everyone goes if I can get to Ellie.
I mean, it's a difference between, okay, if I had to kill a random person to save who knows how many lives, in the abstract you would say, well, yeah, that makes sense, of course. But now remove it from being a random person and it's your kid. Now the answer is very different.
Right.
Which is an interesting moral conundrum.
Yeah, so Bella brought up the trolley problem, and like I had never thought of it that way before, but like this is the trolley problem with context, and that context is what makes everything so complicated.
Right, exactly.
Well, and I mean, the bottom line is nobody gave Ellie a choice. Like, if they had presented the information to Ellie and she had made the decision, it could have changed the way he reacted in the moment.
For sure.
But that didn't happen.
No, and I think given the choice, Ellie would have absolutely sacrificed herself for the greater good of humanity.
That's a
No
big
doubt,
thing.
that was her purpose in life,
Yeah.
and it got taken away from her.
That is selfish of Joel to do.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Game 2 is very unique in its structure, and that structure seems mad difficult to adapt into a television series. How was that?
Everything's mad difficult.
It wasn't an obvious road to go down where we've ended up, but the way Craig and I approach everything is like, I see it like engineers. We just look at, okay, here's how the game was constructed, here's what we got out of that. And obviously the game has this dimension of interactivity, of why a lot of decisions are made is to support gameplay, because we do a lot of our storytelling through immersion, through this empathic connection you have with a playable character. We don't have that on the show. So then we have to re-interrogate every one of those decisions. And sometimes we say, hey, that was a correct decision, that it even works in this other medium. Sometimes like, we're bumping against this doesn't feel right. And then we just explore, okay, what's all the other options we have in front of us? And we kind of look at the whole deck and say, which version gets us the best story for the TV medium?
And this is why I love working with Neil, because I get to find out why the structure was that way. It's not like, oh, this was The Last of Us Part 2 just arrived into Neil and Hallie Gross's mind. They made all these choices. Why? So then once I understand that, then we can start to interrogate, okay, does that answer, does that rationale continue to function here for the show, or is a different rationale called for? And so like Neil said, everything gets interrogated.
In the game, there is a major moment that all game fans know is coming down the pipeline.
Well, they think it is.
They think it is,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So in the scope of major moments like that, like big key moments that fans know that are coming, whether it's that specific moment or other specific moments that they expect, in the context of what you had just mentioned with like interrogating each moment, how do you decide when it's the right time to inject that into the story here versus when it was the right time to inject it into the story then?
Same process.
Yeah.
So the first question is this moment in the game something that we want to do in the show exactly that way? Do we want to do it at all? Everything is considered, but this is where I think the push and pull of creator and fan helps, because I can say as a fan, I need that to be this. But where it happens, that's a question that we dig into a lot, because The Last of Us Part 2 moves through time back and forth constantly. And we did that on season 1. We were moving back and forth in time plenty. So we know that's on the table. The question is, when is the right time? And that's what you're asking. And the answer is when it feels like it's going to be the most impactful and drive these characters forward in the most interesting and provocative way, and inform their relationships with each other and how they feel about people doing certain things. So we did make quite a few changes in that regard.
I would say the other thing we took into consideration is not only the difference in the medium, but the difference of how the story gets delivered through that medium. So with The Last of Us Part 2, the game, you're getting the complete story beginning to end, and it's all there, and you decide the pacing, how quickly you want to play it. Here on the show, every episode comes out week to week, so that gets taken into account. And we knew we couldn't tell that whole story with this one season. So there's certain events that we reserve for later, and there's certain events that we moved earlier because we wanted people to have the context in this season, whereas in the game, some of those events might happen much later in the story.
So in season 1, it was a big deal to certain fans that you had shifted from spores into tendrils.
Yes.
Yes, we heard. Yeah, we heard from a couple of them.
Maybe there was a little bit of controversy
I
surrounding
love that people love it. That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've seen in the trailer, now we are bringing spores in. What made this the right moment?
Well, first let's talk about why we made the change in season 1. we knew that through gameplay, you would find these moments where you encounter spores in certain environments, and that would require a gas mask to come on, and it would change the nature of the gameplay quite a bit. Obviously for television, characters walking around with gas masks a lot, this is a bit of a problem. I mean, you got Pedro Pascal, you got Bella Ramsey, let's see those faces. But also there was a logical question in the reality, because the show is live action, if there's too many spores and too many spots, you start to feel like this is airborne, it's gonna get everybody. How are we managing to keep anybody alive? So then the question is, because I love the spores too, what circumstance can we create as we go into our second season that rationalizes them, that makes us understand why they haven't spread everywhere, and that even connects to a relationship, to people? And if you look carefully at the trailer, you'll see these spores are coming out of somebody.
This is one of those great opportunities where it's like, now that we've changed how they get introduced, let's reinterrogate how we see them, how visually, like there's something really provocative about how they're manufactured in the show.
But there's also a moment in the game that is so connected to spores. There's actually a couple of moments that are so connected to spores, and one of them we thought, let's not go spore here, for good reasons. And then the other one we just thought has to be. But it does make sense. I think it's the most important thing is that it makes sense.
Once you watch the season, you look at it in hindsight, you'll see, oh, that's why they did it here and not here.
Yeah.
Narratively.
All right.
But they're back.
They're here now.
They're here.
Everybody may remain calm.
Yes.
This is where we live. What's inside?
People.
What's outside?
Monsters.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on to another easy, fun one.
Just start with some, it was really light.
This is gonna be such tonal whiplash because you, as an individual, not your character, are going into the apocalypse. You know it's coming. You have that benefit. What is your last meal before all the good food goes away?
Oh, that's a great question.
I would say Peruvian buffet. I like my Peruvian food. So good. And it covers a lot of bases.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I feel like in this world, in this Last of Us world, we do have access to things like steak and potatoes.
We're like
But-
right there. We
but
were thinking of the same thing.
That's what I want all the time. I want mashed potatoes, steak,
Yeah.
maybe a green bean or broccoli.
Because if we could raise the hogs and the cows, then we can
Asparagus
do barbecue.
is useless to me. Yeah.
So it would have to be something processed and not good for us that we would not get again. I could probably find gummy
cacio e
bears
pepe?
20 years later and it'll
Cacio
still be good.
Cacio pepe.
Gummy bears,
Cacio
cacio
pepe,
pepe.
yeah.
Solid taste.
A nice Negroni.
Gummy bears, you said?
Although I feel like in that world,
It's true.
It can last.
I'm gonna get on a train to Italy and eat the best Italian pasta before it all goes away, before the
that's good.
like Italian grandmas
Yeah.
get
And keep
attacked
it
by
simple
zombies.
like that too.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna eat the.
There's no
all
way
of the
they'll
pasta.
survive.
Probably not. Well, you saw what happened to the grandma in the
Oh yeah,
first
she was like the
episode of
first
season
one to
one.
go. Yeah.
First one, Nana.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not like that. More like.
But it was the flour.
It was the flour.
Yeah. That infected everyone.
I do some Korean food.
Korean.
Yeah, solongtang.
Cacio pepe is good. That's every Italian restaurant, if I haven't been there before, even if it's not on the menu, you have to
Solid
order the
good
cacio pepe, because if they do that right, then you can do everything else.
What Korean food?
Solongtang, which is like a bone. It's like a bone soup. Some samgyeopsal, which is like tepe samgyeopsal, which is like a thinly sliced pork belly with some like cabbage and a bit of seasoning, rice, and some like side dishes together. That spread, I feel like, would be very inaccessible in a post-apocalypse. Like you wouldn't have the time to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Koreans would find a way.
Yeah. If they can make
So
it.
would Peruvians, mind you.
Could we still have soju?
The best thing in
Some
life is
soju.
food. So.
Yeah.
We could still make soju, yeah.
Yeah, you can make that. Yeah.
It doesn't require a special distillation process. You had the right answer though, because you traveled and you got your food.
I did.
So like you knew you had a ticking timeline. You were like, I'm gonna get on a plane. I'm gonna go on an adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe I just have an acai bowl.
That's
Yeah, that's probably something that doesn't stick around is the acai bowl.
They're really good.
Cheetos.
my favorite thing.
Cheetos would not be good after a while, so I would probably have a huge bag of.
Cheetos?
Not even Cheetos, maybe Hawkins Cheesies, which are the Canadian version of Cheetos, and are Canadian or Canada's greatest export. And
Hot Cheetos.
Damn.
Chili cheese Fritos.
Ooh, yeah. Takis.
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 Oh,
It's like a go-to
Guilty
apocalyptic
pleasure.
snack.
They'd ward off the zombies.
That's the East LA and Bella right there. Takis.
Takis.